Get in, nerds. We are playing Victoria 3. This is going to be our last episode as the Iberian Federation for now. Unless we decide to go back to Iberia at some point. It's been a while since I've played. I got a lot of construction here, but you know, it's good. There's a lot to do. So, I think we want to go out with a bang. So let's go ahead and let's make. Ooh, hold on. What's this? They have fixed the infamy for protectorates and annex war goals. Okay, so we're in 1.12.4 now. So friends, it was bound to happen. So in this case, I'm going to let my infamy rack down a little bit. Let me see. I got plenty of influence. I am going to get improving relations with any subjects of mine who need their relations improved. Let me see. Para, we're good. Mato Grosso, we could be better. Oh, right, yes. I was getting up to a bunch of chicanery here in South America. We've got all of South America except for Guyana. Legislation imposed on Iberia and South Africa refused. They refused our demand that they enact cultural exclusion. The ambassador returns, bearing the news of the rejection. They chose pride over progress, he reports. The silence that follows lies heavy in the council chamber. How ought we to react to such insubordination? You better not be doing an ethno-state down there or something. I'll be big mad if you're... Okay, well, we'll need to deal with that. We'll need to deal with that at some point. Alright, so we've done a big naval... a big naval buildup. I'm just going to rename these fleets the First Iberian Fleet. And then we'll just call this the Second Iberian Fleet. There we go. We do have an admiral here. Alright, so that's fine. Anything else on the agenda? I don't think so. I think we're basically good. Okay, if we did a council republic, a lot of people would be mad, but only the technocratic movement would actually try and stop us. But this is not necessarily a socialist run we're doing here, so let's leave that be for now. But what do I want to get up to for the rest of the run other than Kirby? Okay, cancel construction of Kirby. No! Alright, we'll move Kirby to the bottom of the construction queue here. And hopefully he won't be too mad that he's my lowest priority. Lowest priority it's ever been. Alright, I'm gonna mute you for a second because I think we got an ear thing going on. Alright, hoping that'll be better. What do we have here? Legislation imposed on Honduras. Refused. They refused to enact women's suffrage. Honduras. Well, goodness, Honduras. Sure would be cool if you enacted women's suffrage. I don't want to put them to women in the workplace because, frankly, they should be able to get to women's suffrage at this point in the game, particularly with a 99% radical movement. Coup and para. So the industrialists power. Interesting. And now they've got a slave revolt movement. Interesting. Okay, para is only a protectorate. Can I reduce their autonomy? I can. Let's do it. Alright, now that you've got this, buddy, ban slavery. Easiest thing in the world. You're doing state atheism. I demand you separate church and state. Let's not. Let's have equality, Mato Grosso. Para is enacting slavery ban. Mato Grosso is enacting total separation of church and state. Nice. All right, now. Algeria, when I last looked, yeah, okay, they're going down in autonomy, in liberty desire. Before they had an increasing liberty desire because the game thought they were isolated from my market, but not anymore. Egypt is still an unrecognized major, so I can't eat them. Persia is a protectorate of mine. Oh, excellent. As you can see, it's been a little bit since I've played this run. We've had a lot of weather. I'm in the United States, and we've had a lot of weather. Wow, we had a major spike in standard of living. I wonder if we can get above 20. Let's take a quick look at our market. We need more airplanes, and I think I have the ability to produce a ton more airplanes. Where are they mostly coming from? They're mostly coming from automotive industries right now, and that's chill. I think I can have more automotive industries producing airplanes. So, yes, we've got a level 9 automotive industry producing airplanes. That's our smallest. So, you know what? And all these industries are fully employed. Let's swap Madeira. No, we'll just grab El Antejo and put them in airplane production. And that should produce all the airplanes we could ever need. Because I think we're about half. Yeah, there we go. All right. And, you know, we'll subvene the export of airplanes. It's fine. No, actually, I already did it. Never mind. It's not reversible. We'll do it. Oh, I'm so good at video games. Very good. There's a rubber situation. I've got rubber plantations in the queue. Still working on coal. I increased electronics significantly. Are all those businesses employing right now? Mostly, yes. It seems like they're mostly producing. So that's good. If we go back here, let me see. I still need to produce more oil. But again, I've got that in the queue. I'm producing a lot of rubber plantations at present. That's going to cover my remaining rubber needs. And maybe put me in a position to... Oh, there we go. The price of airplanes is spiking a little bit. Oh, Pops are buying them. That's interesting. That's Excite Bike. That's Excite Bike. And we have engines needing more production. That's rare, but we can definitely increase the amount of engines available. In fact, the motor industries are already expanding, so maybe we don't need to. But yeah, let's increase the size of the motor industries in Extremadura and Galicia. And then we'll do Extremadura again. There we go. We've got a lot of labor available. Now, we do have quite a significant unemployed population, and that's partially because we've been doing a lot of labor-saving production methods, and that's part of why we need so much coal. We got a lot of coal being bought by a lot of different industries, and then we've been expanding our coal production significantly, although right now we're really focusing on copper. Right, so those motor industries... Yeah, okay, so on rubber. Copper is not a resource that is represented in the game as such. So let's take a quick look around our lands, and we'll just see if there's anywhere else I can build up any coal production. The Paris Convention has been formed by the Empire of Japan. Interesting. Oh my. And this is what? This is the Kuban uprising against the Iberian Congo. Alright. Let's go ahead and send one of our global defense forces. We'll send the 2nd Iberian Global Defense Force. Deal with that. Not a big deal. This interior part of Great Britain has already been taken over by... Who are you occupied by? Oh, by the Kuban Uprising. Alright. Well, we'll see kind of what becomes of that. Yeah, we'll see what becomes of that. I'm chill. I'm chill. Yeah, take all that territory. And then, when I get it back, everything will be mine. So interesting. Okay, so British South Africa has been formed once again out of part of this territory. Oil discovered in Niger. Very cool. I was looking at sources of coal, which I believe was still quite expensive. Let's first take a look at our coal industry and make sure that it's fully running. It should be. Yet there are places where it is not. Panama has, I guess, simply a shortage of labor. Yes, indeed. Populations are going down, that's a shame, but them's the breaks. Where else? Anywhere else where I could... Obviously, these places in Austria, I could expand the coal industry, but they're not in my market, so it wouldn't really help me in terms of my market. Let's go Antioquia. That's here. This also has experiencing a little bit of a population shortage. That's okay. I can't really do anything about that, is the thing, so... Alright, so a lot of these places are simply built up as much as they can be. Benin. Why are you... Benin, are you short of population here? Oh my goodness. Here we go. You're not. What is the... What's our issue? Shortage of market access? No. So why can't you hire? Not high enough wages. Well, I mean, I don't know what to tell you. Buddy, you could be making a lot of money if you would hire those engineers. There's plenty of... Does it make sense to subsidize this building? I don't think so. Because I shouldn't need to, is the ultimate answer to that question. I shouldn't have a need to. Let's go back to our building list. Tabriz is still kind of hiring. But I could expand these coal mines here. Oh, they don't have the market access. Tabriz is in Persia, clearly, but where? Here. Ah, yes. This is one of Persia's big industrial areas. And the private sector is building railways at the wazoo, or at least they're building railways. That one thing's for sure. They're building railways. So, I've lost an admiral. One of our existing admirals, hopefully. Yes. That was a silly thing to say. Ooh, we got a trade unions guy. A humanitarian. You know what? You are politically convenient for my purposes. Have a lot of promotions, sir. He's a ruthless engineer and a humanitarian. There's a shortage in Volta. Volta... Oh my goodness. I've forgotten where Volta is. Is Volta East Africa? Okay, I'm going to stop pretending. Okay, over here. It's already being built. We'll throw in a couple more levels just for the sake of reasonableness. Cash flow is doing a lot better, which means we can build more stuff. So, okay, let's get serious about this coal situation here. I think I'm basically effectively handling all the areas that I can produce my own coal in. Namakland. Yeah, they're just not paying high enough wages. I don't really have the ability to do anything about that. Herreraland, same deal. I'm not on colonial exploitation, am I? Because if I am, that would explain it. Golly, I have a lot of coal mines. Let's take a quick look here. No, I'm on resettlement. I'm on resettlement. It is what it is. All right. And there's mobile armor, so that's going to be very good. Let's build ourselves some more coal. Some more coal mines. I've got a lot of places I can build up coal infrastructure. Let's build 10 levels in Refugee. We got a lot of infrastructure available here in Tanganyika. Let's build 10 levels. The Rift Valley. We'll go ahead and build 10 levels. East Congo, we don't have the labor or the infrastructural capacity, so we'll leave that be for now. Bungi Shari, don't have a lot of labor available. Congo, not a lot of labor available. East Angola, dang. A lot of these areas where we're not in a great spot. Ooh, but the Eastern Cape, we've got a lot of unemployment and a lot of available infrastructure. So we'll coal max there for a bit. Now, I heard an event that the ace officer, Jose Manuel Baradas, has gained renown not merely for utilizing aircraft in battle, but for even flying one himself over the skies over Iberian Congolese Kasai. The papers are calling him the Mad Cat. Same, buddy. Oh, you're my favy now. Papers are calling him the Mad Cat. He's astounding. I can't tell if it'd be better to parade him around at home or keep sicking him on everyone in Iberian Congolese Kasai. Hero worship will help domestically, increases war support, and he gets a lot of popularity. Or war heroes need to stay in the war. He gets extra army offense. I'm going to go with that second one. Now, we have the ability to start producing tanks, so let's start producing them. Tanks are built out of the automotive industries. I'm going to grab our largest automotive industry in Valencia. It's not going to be our largest forever necessarily, but it's our largest at present. And then I'm just going to hit the upgrade all units button, and we're going to see how many... yeah, go buck wild, Britain. See if I care. And we're going to see what that does to our armor, our tank market for now. It shouldn't spike it too bad. Oh, interesting. We have even more airplane consumption than we might have otherwise done. Let's move the Azores over to airplane production, and we'll take Madeira and put them over to no airplane production, and that should provide us with a sufficiency of airplanes. Now, how's tanks? We're producing 2.75k tanks, but these upgrades can't have already gone through entirely. Okay, hold up. I've got another war to fight. This one in the Philippines. Let's take a look at some of our largest armies. Oh, Second Iberian Fleet needs a new leader. We'll go with this armed forces guy. He seems fine. Let's see. Yes, you're a moderate. You may have a little promotion. Now, horses, mechanized infantry. They're basically all fully upgraded, and we're not... Oh, haha, because of the... because of the support forces. So I am going to leave that automotive industry producing tanks for now, because we're going to need a lot more tanks to get these armies fully upgraded. We'll go through that in a moment. Legislation imposed on Australia refused. They refused to demand to enact a national militia. How would we react to such insubordination? Let's take a quick look-see. Oh, they're a dominion, I think. Or they're a colony. They're a colony. And I can't... No trade policies available. Interesting. Well, that's curious. Maybe there's simply... I'll worry about it later. I'm not too concerned. I'm not too concerned. Wow. You are experiencing a lot. You get 'em, Welsh National Movement. You get them so good. I want to wage war on Great Britain just to break off Wales. I think that would be extremely funny. Let's see. Prussia is going after Brunswick to conquer them. Interesting. I think I'll let that be for now. I should have more to do in terms of construction. I need more fine art. Golly gee willikers. And oil. That's not shocking. I just popped another round of oil mills in somewhere in here, right? Timbuktu, Eastern Mali. Never mind, I don't remember. If I were smarter, I'd be better at this game. Nigeria, here it was. Oh wow, there's a lot of oil capacity in Nigeria. We got the infrastructure. Let's build that. Let's build it. We're gonna need market access even so. We're already doing the construction. Let's throw those at the top. And then, let's get these oil rigs building. I noticed I need coal mines as well. There's plenty of labor available here. So, you know, we'll build coal mines as well. I think I'm actually going to need way more, infrastructure than I thought I might. Have I got the necessary power infrastructure? Probably, but let's increase those just to make sure. An unplanned debate. Ah, we're in an election cycle. Whilst carrying out work in support of the Conservative Party in Aragon, Rafael Serrano has come across Alberto Izaguirre, representing the Progressive Party. A fiery debate broke out between them, and once again, the Progressives are our intelligentsia, rural folk, and industrialists at this stage. Interesting. Straightening his impressive coattails, he stepped forwards, regarding his newfound opponent with a look of begrudging respect. I will have you know. Rafael Serrano is far more convincing. Reduced momentum for the Progressives, increased momentum for the Conservatives, or the better arguments clearly belong to Alberto Izaguirre. Increased momentum for the Progressives, reduced momentum for the Conservatives. I'm going to pick the second one. Conservatives are the only ones who could potentially unseat my socialists. So we'll leave that where it is for now. Legislation imposed on Costa Rica. They wouldn't do women's suffrage. Y'all need to do women's suffrage. I don't know what to tell you. This is an insult to our intelligence. Sorry, I got song lyrics in there. Anyone who's a Harry Enfield fan. Cuba also do women's suffrage, you goobers. I can't believe this. I can't believe this. Can I just annex them? Let me annex you, you goobers. The popularity contest. Here we go. Yes, the electorate have turned to the candidates that seek to acquire a position at the head of the government. As the election approaches, voters debate who would provide the best leadership for the Iberian Federation. I quite like Ubistongo. This is a consonant cluster. Hold on. Sabino de Ubistongo. You're Basque. Okay. I'm probably pronouncing that wrong, then. That is a heckin' consonant cluster right there. I quite like Ubisistongo. Maybe it's Ubisistongo? Not sure. Hard to say. I quite like Ubisistongo, mused one of the men at the bar. I couldn't say what it is I agree with him on, but I think he has a good head on his shoulders. His neighbor spoke up. Enough to look past the company he keeps? Well, why not? God knows you could say the same of any of us. Nobody's better to handle a fool than his friend. Sabino de Ubisistongo is the man of the hour. Extra momentum for the Progressives and become us more popular. A term of Celestino Diaz is what the country needs. Extra momentum for the Catholics, and he becomes more popular. Teresa Claremont has the character for the job. Extra momentum for the Communists, and she becomes more popular. Or Antonio Maura is worth hearing out. Extra momentum for the Conservatives, and he becomes more popular. I'm going to pick Claremont once again. She's the head of the Communist Party. The Communist Party is currently in power. Everything seems to be going great. So that seems reasonable. The mechanization of farming. The grand project of mechanizing agriculture throughout the Iberian Federation is complete. Never before have such abundant yields been tallied. I got a brand new combine harvester. Oh, that's fantastic. Do you think I could borrow it once you finish your harvest? Of course, I'll give you the key. I'm glad we can work together in such perfect harmony. Distribute food surplus to the poor, extra welfare payments. Interesting. Or, but could yields be even higher, extra throughput? I'm going to go with the welfare payments. I think that's sensible. Quick look at the market once again. Oh yeah, I was going to expand art production. We have so much desire for art. And then I'm going to do that military stuff. There's the secession the Philippines dealt with. Oh, right. We have mobile warfare tactics available. I definitely need that. Now. There's some power plants not on coal-fired? That's curious. Art. Where are you at, Art? Arthur! Arthur! Where are you? Scooby-Dooby Art. Okay. Oh, brother, where art thou? Alright, here we go. Let me see. We can do some slight rounding up. We'll just put 10 levels in Beira, 10 levels in Catalunya, 10 levels in Extremadura. What the heck? We'll do a couple of levels in the Azores. Extremadura is low on infrastructure. We'll need to build that up. But we'll build 10 levels there. Alright, Extremadura. You need more infrastructure. And we'll just throw this in at the top of the queue. We'll just do 5 levels. There we go, that should be enough. Legislation posed in Ethiopia refused. They didn't like universal suffrage, huh? Ethiopia, you gotta get this together, man. Your radical movement's popping off. You gotta give them something. What say you do census suffrage for now? Shouldn't be too hard. Stop deferring and acting in Ethiopia, you're gonna explode. Now, I was gonna do military reform because you can't upgrade. Pete's sake. Alright, sorry, we're in an election cycle and it keeps producing events. Fireside chat. President Teresa Claremont has decided to use the new and exciting radio technology to connect more directly with the people. It's like she's there in the room with me. It's hard not to be convinced. It should express authority, extra authority, or it should make us look good. Happier trade unions. Trade unions are plenty happy. Let's get some extra authority. I can impose one more consumption tax. Let's throw that on coffee. This is a no-brainer. Now, I was doing military reform. So here's the thing. You can't upgrade siege artillery directly to heavy tanks, nor lancers directly to light tanks. So, what we're going to do is we're going to just close out all of these military buildings. And that's going to produce some slight problems, but we'll build up heavy tanks, and that'll be fine. So, just 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50. And then light tanks, 5, 10. Next we'll do the same with the 2nd Iberian Army. It's the same pattern here. Uh, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50. And then with light tanks, 5, 10. 3rd Iberian Army, and all this is just going to go the same way as it's been. So I'm not going to be too conscientious about keeping everything even. Beira is a little short on infrastructure. We'll throw some railways into construction at the head of the queue. Now, whichever way forward. With the attitudes of the Catholic Church towards the United States growing more apathetic, their leadership has begun to discuss reassessing the group's support for the Anti-American Association. It was more difficult to get appointments to the foreign ministry these days. The initial interest that they had inspired had long since waned, the lobby's activities falling into Madrid's background noise. The Catholic Church were the first to lose interest. Their representatives, initially disheartened by an absence of news, then no longer inclined to read the papers when they arrived at all. What reason do we have to care for happenings in Washington? Their younger members challenged. The elders did not know how to respond. Time for changing course. They leave the Anti-American Association, or why change something that works? They remain. How's the Anti-American Association feeling? They're fine. Changing course. Head out. Now, I think I'm going to wait. Okay, so the barracks are already being built. I think I'm going to throw these arts academies at the bottom of the queue for now. And Ethiopia is enacting census suffrage. Just to get those barracks done. And the reason is really simple. I don't want to be low on army power projection for too long. I think anyone can see why that would be a reasonable line to take. Oh, because they're walking through each... Well, why do you have attrition? It's because they're walking through each. North German mass migration from Hamburg to Castilla la Vieja. That's exciting. Whistle stop tour. Teresa Claremont intends to travel across to Dahomey by train to campaign for the Communist Party. All I intend to do is present myself to the people. I'm just a simple woman trying to get our party's message out by the best means available. Campaigning by rail is a smart move, extra momentum for the communists. Dahomey gets stressed railway network for reduced railway throughput, or the fate of the nation depends on that train running on time. More momentum, and Dahomey gets efficient rail network for increased throughput. I'm going to pick that second one. Alright, now I think from here, we're going to do the Global Defense Forces. So this is the second. Heavy tanks, we'll just do 10. Light tanks, 5. First Global Defense Force is a little overtuned on mechanized infantry. We'll just cut the extra. I like round numbers. Let's see, we'll throw these in the capital. Nuer, National Awakening, very cool. Third Global Defense Force. We will do the same. Not the capital, we'll put these in Valencia. This is how military reform works in the endgame. It takes a long time. Fourth Global Defense Force. Catalonia this time. And there is our election, with a solid win for the communists, keeping them in power, and hopefully not changing our politics too much. Empty pockets. A series of perceived poor decisions by the Sunni rights movement has led to a notable decrease in its ability to raise money. Numerous wealthy sympathizers have quietly halted their support for the movement in its current form. We do not wish to appear partisan. Always the same refrain. The organizer paced back and forth within his tiny office, fist clenched until it felt as if his knuckles were about to burst through his skin. Occasionally he stole a glance at the unopened envelopes on his desk, all of which he knew would repeat a variation on the same. Partisan. What did it mean? That they Oh, I forgot I didn't support the Welsh. Oh, that's a shame. I should have did that, but I wasn't paying close enough attention. Them's the breaks. Partisan. What did that mean? That they cared for something? That they'd chosen to do something beyond count the money in their vaults? He had something important to do, something which would improve society itself. They had a chance to do the same. And that light, how could partisanship possibly be bad? Perhaps it will find an alternative source of funds. They lose a lot of movement pop attraction. 2% of pops in Castilla and Nueva become more loyalist. Or everything dies in the end, some faster than others. They lose 30% pop attraction instead of 10. I'm going to go with the second one. I don't think it's, I don't need the loyalists at this stage. My citizenry are ridiculously loyal. 50% loyalists. I'm feeling very pleased. So, I military reformed the global defense movement's forces. Well, actually, not all of them. I did the 4th. Did I do the 5th? I did not. I didn't do the 5th or the 6th. I got a lot of global defense forces, friends. It's almost like there's one country acting like the police for the entire world. Crazy. How could this have happened? There should be an inquiry. And then we'll do the 6th, where we'll do simply the same. We'll put these ones in Entre Duero e Minho. Oop. I did 10 levels. I only need 5. Alright, so those are the home guards. And actually, we're... I'm going so fast that I'm outrunning my ability to actually queue in these new things. So I'll slow down. Let's see. First Iberian X-Force is a 30 and 10 army. So we'll do the same. And 10. Second Iberian X-Force should be a 30 and 10 army, but they're a little smaller. So we'll throw in some extra mechanized infantry. And then we'll do the same for the other stuff. 15, 20, 25, 30, 30. Not 35. And then 10 cavalry, 10 light tanks. We'll put them in Valencia. Alright. And then at that point, so those two will both be the same size, and now it's just the home guards that need to be improved. Yeah, this is tedious. I agree, but it's got to be done. We've got to make our military modern. So there's the third home guard. Here's the second. And here's the first. And I know none of my militaries have round numbers of units anymore, but them's the breaks. So, what else do we need for the market? Still could use a little bit more art. Still could use quite a bit more oil. More engines, more electronics, more electrics rather. Now as we do this, now let's take a look at where tanks are. And tanks are still extremely affordable. I guess the demand from tanks is actually not that high, so let's go ahead and submit exports. Whatever, man. I'll sell our tanks abroad. I don't care. Is that crazy? See what military theorists have to say. Oh, flamethrowers. So, yeah. Adds an oil input. Let's do it. This is my Flammenwerfer. It werfs Flammen. This is my Nebelwerfer. It werfs Nebels. Alright. That having been done, let's figure out where we've got more oil. I know we've got more oil available in the Middle East. We have to. Okay, here we go. We'll oil max in Baghdad to start. How's infrastructure here? It could be better. We'll throw a couple railways in there. And then we'll throw some trade centers in there for good measure. I think we're going to need more oil than that, so we'll do the same in, let me see, how are we with oil in Basra? We have plenty of capacity. Alt to put at the top of the queue. We'll do 3 railways. Did I do the railways in Baghdad at the top of the queue? I think I did. Alright, beautiful. Yes, here they are. So then Basra, We will finish out the entirety of the available oil industry, which create a nice boom over there. And then, let me see. So how many oil wells do I actually have fully in the queue? Experts want to know. 62. I think these ones are only producing 60 each. So that's 3,600 oil, I believe. No. Yeah. 3,600. Okay. I'm going to need more than that. So I guess we'll do Mosul as well. Let's throw in a few railways just for good measure, and then we'll oil max. Alright. So that should produce enough oil. Now I think from here, the best play is to increase the size of our electrics industry in the home country, in the metropole, because that is some crazy profitable industry. Electrics industry, where are you? Oh, here we are. I stand corrected a little bit. It's not as crazy profitable as it could be. We'll build up Aragon, and so I don't forget, build some more railways in Aragon as well, since they're a little bit short. Let's see, where else? Vasco seems like they're profitable and there's labor available. Islas Canarias, though, could have... We'll put some in the Canarias, the Azores, and... Oh, Asturias is just right in the metropole. But let's take a quick look at the Azores. You're going to need more railways. And the Islas Canarias is the same thing. The Islas Canarias? No, those are the Baleares. Here we go. Here are the Canary Islands. You go at the top as well. It's very important to make sure that I'm effectively putting infrastructure improvements that take longer at the top of the queue, because those are going to take longer, and I want them to be finished before the other stuff is finished, so that we don't get into a situation where the area is low on infrastructure. West Micronesian uprising in the Philippines. We will send the 5th Global Defense Force to deal with it. And we'll go ahead and send the 2nd Fleet to deal with it as well. Because, golly gee willikers, do I ever need a fleet over there? We do have a company producing... The Iberian Metalworks Consortium is working on producing precision tools. I thought the Iberian Metalworks Consortium had been producing their prestige good this whole time, although maybe they simply hadn't. Maybe it was the update, though. Maybe the update's what goofed it. Goofed it and goobered it. I'm really hoping I can get above Standard of Living 20. That would be delicious. Delicious, delightful, and other words. Dang, we need more coal still. And more groceries. But do we need more liquor? Oh boy, please don't be all the way at the bottom here. Yeah, liquor is extremely, I can afford to subvene the export of liquor. That's going to help our food industries be profitable. Let's do one more expansion for the electrics. Let's actually no, we don't. We're building up by 20%, and that's about the amount we're short of, is it not, for both of these? They're at the top here. Yeah, that's about the amount we're short of. All right, so we don't need any more of that. Well, that's right. I've got Canada. And there's oil in Ontario. That's nice. Build it up, build it up, build it up, build it. Did I finish all those oil wells already? No, I'm still building them. I still got Kirby's in the construction queue. I don't know what to do about that. I still need to increase the size of the arts academies and the motor industries. We'll do the motor industries ourselves. those are being expanded by the private sector, but there's no reason we can't do some ourselves. Let's go Estremadura. We'll do just 3 levels. Big ol' expansion in Estremadura. There's plenty of infrastructure available. And then we'll do 10 in Alta Andalusia and 10 in Castilla Nueva. And that's a very modest, like 12% increase in the overall size of our motor industries, and hopefully that will cover this little bit here. Now, events. Morocco refused to enact slavery ban. Morocco? Fine. Well, have you do universal suffrage then. They'll soon be enacting it. Morocco, you just need to get it together. I don't know what else to tell you, my guy. It's time for you to do stuff. Alright, so there's the West Micronesian Uprising. So, let's go ahead and get a naval invasion in process with the 5th Global Defense Force. There are those fellas there. And that should sort itself out in due time. Ooh, a West Indian Uprising. Sure would be cool if I could have West India. Oh, but it's only Bermuda. Oh no, it's Bermuda and this whole territory. No, I don't want to necessarily shoot at the British right now. I'm saving up to take over the Low Countries and the United Belgian States. So, my market being what it is, oh yeah, I need to increase the size of the arts academies once again, which is fine. I love art. Where are they? Oh, they're at the bottom here. They tried to make me use the interface where the things are in a different order, but I say no, no, no. Cabo Verde. They're not fully employed. Entradoro and Minho, not a lot of labor available. Beira, plenty of labor, plenty of infrastructure. Let's do it. Catalunya, we can always build in Catalunya. Alright, so that's a 10% increase. Let's double it. We'll do a 20% increase. We'll do big art. We're movie maxing. Prejudiced employers. Makua people. Heritage Eastern Bantu language Makua. Are having a hard time getting employed in Entradoro and Minho due to the prejudices of some Asturianese employers. I went to apply for a warehouse job. They took one look at me and told me the job wasn't for my kind. Work is for everyone, reduced authority, or it's up to the bosses to decide if they hire -2 standard living. I'm going to pick the first one, reduced authority. Now, we had talked about, I'm in multiculturalism right now. Did they change this? So no shared heritage traits is +20. Oh, but it's the thing that's changed. It's not the discrimination levels. It's not what the amount of acceptance. It's the discrimination levels. It's just reduced wages at very low levels of discrimination. They've all got voting rights. They've all got the ability to assimilate. So it's I see. It's not ideal, but it could be worse. Anyway, at the beginning of the episode, I had talked about us waging an aggressive war, and I think we're going to go ahead and wage an aggressive war. Netherlands, things are getting too weird out there. You need my protection. You need it. I don't know how else to say it. You need Iberian protection. I don't care what the Prussians, the French, or the Scandinavians say. You need Iberian protection. Is there any problematic? They've got a lot of relationships, but none of them are defensive pacts. Oh, wait, hold on. Alright, so the French are guaranteeing their independence. And the Prussians are doing the same. That's okay. Let's do it. Game's taking its sweet time dealing with this. Anti-Bengali. Alright, it didn't make the noise. Transfer subject wargle. Interesting. They want to steal Bara from me. Steal Bara? How could you? Alright, let's go ahead and get the lads together. You want to play a song for me? Thank you. Now, is there anything else I wish to do? I think I want to snag Guyana. Any subjects I can transfer? Just a few, and not really ones that I would necessarily wish to. Dutch Guyana, 4.5 infamy. Let's do it. I'm going to leave this outside the primaries. I don't want the extra infamy. I'm going to be doing plenty of stuff as we get going here. Prussia's going to have a heck of a time actually supporting them, but they are going to support them almost assuredly. It's okay. I'm not worried. Obviously, I'm paying a lot of cash, but I got cash out the wazoo. Look at this investment pool. The line is going up, friends. Line is going up so fast and hard. Alright, so now we're short on airplanes by quite a bit. We'll just focus on military goods for now. Yeah, well, I think we can definitely deal with that by reallocating the production methods of our automotive industries. Let's grab one of our larger... No, let's not get too wild here. We'll put Madeira back on airplane production. We'll grab Antidoro and Minho and put them on airplane production. And that should supply us with all of our aircraft needs, right? Not really. Aircraft are still moderately expensive. Pressure sides of the Netherlands, alright. Nothing shocking about that. You know, I'm okay with aircraft being... No, you know what? I can do better. Antidoro Minho, you don't produce aircraft. Galicia, you're now producing aircraft. Alright, beautiful. That's much better. And the French Republic sides with them as well. So, that's fine. Do I want to pull in anyone else? I could pull in Austria. The call ally, they wouldn't say... Yes, the call ally. They want Abyssinia or Mexico, which doesn't make any sense to me. I could sway them with a regime change wargle in Siak. Well, I mean... Is that going to make anyone more likely to join this thing? They could bring in the Russians. So I'm actually not going to... Although the Russians are conciliatory towards me. They are the number 5 great power in the world. I'm going to put the 1st and 2nd Iberian armies here on the French Republic border. And then I think I'm going to send the 3rd Iberian army around to attack, around to do a naval invasion. And I think that's just the most reasonable. Okay, Scandinavia's in there as well. Now I could dismember some of these countries. I could steal Hanover from the Prussians. Can't I? Here we go, 10.2 infamy. It's not bad. Let's do it. And then we'll have returned State CB on some French territory. Dang, do I want to do all of these? I think I do. Golly, I sure do love claims. I'm not going to make any of these primary, but I am going to liberate Rhineland from Germany, or from Prussia. It's going to make them even weaker, and it's going to be very funny. Now, do I want to get up to any nonsense in Scandinavia? I don't think so. I could liberate Denmark. That would be extremely funny. But I don't think I necessarily wish to do that at present. I think I'm happy with my war goals as they stand. Alright, there's a rivalry. It's fine. It's fine. I'm just dismembering the Prussians. How's this naval invasion going? It's going great. We're doing just fine. So, actually, I've got a lot of fronts. I've got fronts and area codes, friends. So, we'll send some global defense forces to protect them. We got one over here. The French over there. Second global defense force we'll send to Central Africa. Fourth. I already sent the fourth, didn't I? First global defense force we'll send to front in Siak. Sixth global defense force we'll send to one of these fronts in Indonesia. And then we'll kind of take a quick look at what we've got still hanging around in Iberia. Alright, there we go. So that frees up the 5th Global Defense Force, which we will send to the other front in... Well, we're in Micronesia now, not Indonesia. Let's bring the 2nd Iberian Fleet back home. Again, we're spending money at a rapid rate, but I'm really not concerned about that. I'm at the lowest possible taxation, and everyone is pleased right now. And I just don't feel any real need to change up the way I'm doing business. I can stop building, and the private sector will handle construction. Force comparison could be better, though. So let's send our expeditionary forces to the main front. And I believe I have one global defense force still at home. The 3rd. Alright. Beautiful. So, I'm going to put this force on the Siak front. And that'll be just fine. I've got a front here in the Christmas Isles. I don't really consider that valuable or useful. I'm going to simply push through France, and we'll be able to handle everything we wish to handle. I've taken a risky path here of giving my enemies war support protection by putting war goals on them, but I feel confident in my ability to get this done. Let's send the 1st Iberian Fleet to the North Sea. I've got admirals on on interception, so I do have the ability to do a war goal. We'll send this army to Occitania so that they're a little bit closer to the front, for when the naval invasion is time to get popped off. Oh, interesting. I'm having a shortage of bureaucracy. That's quite curious. Is there anywhere I don't have sufficient taxation capacity? Answers are an affirmative yes. Let's see. I'm 15 short. And we're on the highest level, so we're producing 30 taxation capacity per level. So I'm going to need, we'll do a nice even 4. 2 here in Alta Andalusia. 1 here in Valencia. My economy has gotten really stupid. Oh, we'll do 2. Really stupid large. Leon will do 2. And then Castilla la Vieja will do 2. And hopefully this is all shortage of capacity and none of its obstinance. Alright, that's the case. So, that should handle reasonably well. Are those being built yet? Answer, not quite yet. But, we'll just throw them at the top of the queue to get them built really fast. And then we'll continue to deal with the war stuff. There's a lot of people mobilized on the other side, but I'm really not... Do I want to make conquering Dutch Guyana primary? No, because no, they're not going to back down. They're not going to back down. Look at all these allies they've got. They wouldn't back down when the Prussians are spoiling for a fight. How spoiling for a fight are the Prussians? They've got a reasonable sized force. I fought and defeated the French before. So I'm not too concerned about that. I've done the same with the Prussians. Scandinavians, I'm really not concerned about. They've got a lot of battalions, but I don't think they'll really be able to win, necessarily. Cash flow could be better, but that's okay. Again, when we're not constructing stuff, it'll be better, and I think we'll be able to sustain it. And if we can't, then we'll simply raise taxes up to low, and I think that'll handle everything we could ever wish to handle. Well, the game's really chugging along here, friends. Catholic Church have finally become marginalized. Fronts globally look basically okay. Again, this business here in Siak could be difficult, but I don't think it's actually going to be. I think it's going to be really, really chill. I think this is going to be a chill war between us and several other major European great powers. First things first, grab the 3rd Iberian Army who's chilling here. We'll set a naval invasion in Holland using the 1st Iberian Fleet. Excuse me? Why are you going somewhere else? Ah, I see. So this is the naval node that's the primary one. And what this should do is get us where we need to be in Holland. Now, we are winning battles. We have overwhelming superiority of kinetic strength in these areas. The enemy is using much, well, not much worse units, but, well, the French certainly are. The Prussians are doing better. The French are still entrenched infantry and shrapnel artillery, and we've got tanks. There's a lot more French units here, but Prussians are doing slightly better, but only slightly. How about the Swedes? The Swedes are the Scandinavians, rather. Yeah, they're in about the same boat. Dutch, same thing. The Dragon of the Trenches. Although a situational weapon, the flamethrower is proving effective in the Iberian Federation versus Netherlands war as support in close-range trench warfare. We humans may lord our mastery of fire over the lesser creatures, but there is no starker reminder of how much of a fearful animal still lives in a man's heart than seeing fire fill the ditch he's hiding in. Few soldiers die from the flames. Many die trying to escape them. It should strike fear into the hearts of our enemies, extra morale damage. It should be deployed where it can most effectively flush out soldiers, extra kill rate. I'm going to pick the morale damage. Increasing casualties is not... Or rather, turning casualties into kills is not valuable to me, to my way of thinking. It is far superior to win battles more, and the way you win battles is by dealing damage to the enemy morale. I am not out here simply to cause deaths. I am out here to win wars. So, Holland is the capital. Yes. All right. So once I've got the capital occupied, that'll be pretty all right. And we're making steady progress here in the French countryside, heading up towards Ile-de-France, which is what we need to occupy in order to get them to lose their war sport protection. And we're down to moderate infamy, which is just fine. Persia is going after deer. Oh dear. You get him, Persia. I believe in you. You can do it. No, I'll leave them independent for now. They will sport our glorious colors at some point. And we are now in Holland. Alright, deer backs down. That's lovely. That's perfect. Maybe as they take more territory, maybe we'll allow them to continue to take territory over there. Since doing it ourselves would, of course, increase our own infamy. And that's no longer something I can simply throw around. Although I could go full infamy goblin at this point, but the problem is I've got so many subjects, and subjects don't like it when you're infamous. They like it when you're a nice guy that all the countries like. Hey, there's antibiotics. Actually, I can increase my healthcare level, can't I? Yes, I certainly have enough bureaucratic capacity to do that. That'll reduce mortality and pollution events, which will be nice. Now, I'm going to grab one of our expeditionary forces and send them over to the Netherlands just to get that territory more... Ooh, actually, no. What we're going to do is we're going to invade Hanover. Oh, I can't. Okay, now I can. We're going to invade Hanover using the main fleet. The reason we're going to do that is because I want to have a toehold here in Prussian territory, so that Prussia is so that if the Netherlands simply bail out of the war, I've got a sufficient front that I can use to advance and don't need to do a second naval invasion at a later point where it will be inconvenient for my schedule. And maybe we'll send a second X-Force as well? I think we shall. Can't, because the naval invasion's not prepared yet. Alright, that's okay. That's okay. Preparations can continue. Golly, we sure are advancing fast in France here. Hopefully we'll be able to just simply do this. Persia, what do you got going on over here? You got a radical revolt. Well, how very interesting. I think we definitely need to deal with that issue. So, we're going to send some global defense forces to support that action. But also, you should do better voting and stuff. Since no one has seen fit to defend those fronts in the Christmas Islands, I think we'll simply go there and do that thing. And then we'll send this other global defense force over here to Western Africa. Things are sorted in South America, so we'll start bringing the global expeditionary forces, the global defense forces to Europe. Now, I'm going to take the first expeditionary force and land here in Pomerania. Once this battle's finished. And that's going to allow us to finish taking over Prussia. And then we'll do another invasion in Scandinavia, and that'll basically be the end of the war. Alright, so we've got a solid hold here. Bremen is in default. I really need to start taking the rest of these territories over here, or this army is going to be in a bad way. But happily, we've got fronts kind of aligned here, so I'm feeling pretty confident overall in our ability to simply do as we like in this war. All right, so this should be easy, and then I think after that we'll wait a little bit for our infinite decay, and then we'll snag an overlordship over Belgium, and that'll be really nice. Then we'll have a nice, solid, stunk and thick European empire before the Persian radical revolt popping off. I'm not too concerned about that. I think that will simply sort itself out in good time. Now, our naval invasion of Prussia is successful. Do a promotion. The armed forces demand the promotion of Major General Sebastian Cebrian, touting his history of loyal and effective service. A wrathful mountain combat expert, offensive planner, and a charismatic liberal. No reason not to promote him. So many medals adorned his jacket that one could scarcely see the fabric beneath, but it was not yet enough. Chest puffed out with pride, the general smiled as he imagined the look on Herculano's face when the field marshal learned of his ascension. Their rivalry was legendary among the officers. At last, he would have his due. If I say he's earned it, the armed forces become happier, and he gets a promotion, or I could say the armed forces will not force our hand. Trade unions will be happier, armed forces will be unhappy, and he'll lose some popularity. I'm gonna go with the first one. I think I'm happy with the armed forces being happier. There are some things they're not super happy with me about at present. So I'm pretty pleased with that. Now, let's take a quick look at where the war is at the moment. We've suffered about 150k dead on our side and 500k wounded. The enemy 750k dead, 1.5 million wounded. War support, the Dutch obviously very low. The Prussians are, they no longer have war support protection. The French no longer have war support protection. The Scandinavians don't have war support protection and seemingly will not. So, I think this is a real easy situation to deal with as we get going forward here. I think it's just going to be a couple more weeks and we should be able to demand basically everything. If we can't, then the Netherlands will simply capitulate within a reasonable few more weeks. And then it's simply us and the Prussians and the French. And I'm not feeling too afraid of French or Prussian resistance at this time. How are things going in Persia? My forces are on the fronts. We're occupying territory. All right, so that should be sorted out without too much additional difficulty. Beautiful. Let's get improving relations with the Netherlands. Let's see, their liberty desire is going up. Mostly due to fervor, cold relations, and of course my own infamy. But it shouldn't be a problem. I should be able to sort things out. I could give them knowledge sharing. I could give them regime support. How's my legitimacy? My legitimacy is very high. You know what, Netherlands, have some regime support. Have some regime support and have some knowledge sharing. I'm doing just fine tech-wise. Alright, Rhineland has been liberated. Very nice. That's going to put all my forces in France, except for the 1st Iberian Expeditionary Force. We're having a spot of bother. We'll wait until the end of the war to deal with them. Actually, no. They're suffering attrition right now. So we will simply move everyone to the 2nd Iberian Expeditionary Force. And we'll take the 1st Iberian Fleet and move them over here. I think the Scandinavians are going to bail out of the war as soon as the French have bailed out of it. And there's chemical warfare. So, are the French willing to accept all of the things I have haphazardly demanded? Answer seems like a resounding yes. So, I'm just going to wait until the Iberian Expeditionary Force has sorted itself out, which it should within a reasonable time frame. It said it was only going to be 1 week. Alright, well, this seems fine. Alright, and I got everything I wanted. Alright, so we'll start bringing the armies all back to Iberia. Again, except we seem to be experiencing this this curious situation here. Can I? Well. Alright, so we'll disband them. All their forces will go to the 3rd Iberian Army. That doesn't actually help. We'll disband them. All these will go to the 2nd Iberian X-Force. Alright, that'll do it. So, we'll rename the 2nd Iberian X-Force the 1st Iberian Mega Force. No one will mess with my Mega Force. Alright, who else can we bring in here? Ethno-nationalist aligned with the armed forces. You can do better, but that's okay. And that's the end of the business in Persia. And that concludes the war. So, still a battle being fought somewhere over here. And we've got Hanover. We're going to reduce their subject payments. We're going to improve relations. And hopefully over time, that's going to make them more desirous of being our subject long term. Coup in Mecklenburg. Coup in the Bavarian Racha Republic. But I don't need to worry about that. I'm sitting pretty here in Iberia. So, the United Belgian States, I can make them protectorate for 19.8 infamy. I'm going to leave it for the moment because my, how could this happen? Amazonia refused to universal suffrage. How will we react to such insubordination? Amazonia, you goobers. Do universal suffrage. At least do census suffrage. Alright. Some of these other fellas are not doing women's rights. They gotta. Alright. Actually, no. Venezuela, you need universal suffrage more than you need women's suffrage at this time. Argentina, you need women's suffrage. You can't yet. Chile, what about you? You've got it. Oh, Chile, you're doing great. Confederation of the Equator, you're fine. Bahia, you're fine. Well, we'll be able to reduce their autonomy. So, we've got ourselves a bit of Iberian Guyana. Let's take a quick look at some things. Para, you're an Amazonian culture nation. This area is primarily Dutch. Wow, it's almost entirely Dutch. Alright, I guess we'll keep it. Taming Amazonia. Currently in our possession are vast tracts of pristine, undeveloped Amazonian lands. While some laud its wild beauty, others see naught but an untamed frontier overflowing with rubber, longing for the gentle touch of progress and capital. Take this down. We stand upon the edge of what could be the very lungs of the planet itself. The terrible wonders that might be inside are ours to behold, to conquer, to subjugate. As darkest Africa is yielded to... sir, I believe I forgot my pen. Perhaps I could dictate when we return to camp? Imbecile! Bah! Use mine. Now from the top, and do not interrupt. Fortune smiles upon the brave and spits on the coward. Add to the explain the Amazon entry. We've seen this before. I'm not going to go through it too much. Basically, you need to build up a bunch of rubber plantations, and if you do, you can give these a slight... you can give these slightly better state effect than Amazon rainforest. It's really not that big of a deal at this stage. An Iberian Confederate Society. This was the Confederate States of America declaring a rivalry against an Iberian rival. Interesting. Very interesting. Let's improve relations some. Really? 26.2 infamy to make them ban slavery. Unbelievable. Okay, let's get another. Little by little. So this is an event that's gonna... These events are gonna pop up. We're gonna see a bunch of these. This is from the Exploiting the Amazon journal entry. I'm actually not gonna read these. You've seen, if y'all have followed the channel, there are other runs where we've done a lot more with this event chain, but it's so late in the game that it's not going to really be having much of an effect. So, Prussia is a weaker nation now than it was before, with us having broken off Rhineland. We do, however, need some additional bureaucratic capacity on account of I built up a bunch of I increased healthcare with no plan for ensuring there was sufficient bureaucratic support. Melanesian national ranking. Hey, we crested 20. So this puts our 20 standard of living. So this puts our average lower strata at middling, our average middle strata at prosperous, and our average upper strata at opulent, which is pretty cool. Scandinavia's damaging relations. Damage away, Scandinavia. Do your worst. I believe in you. You can do it. We have an Austria in a very funny shape this time through. I will say, I don't think I've ever seen an Austria shaped like this, I must say. So, I think, what are my remaining goals? I do want to reduce Persian autonomy. In fact, I think I'll do so right now. I'll reduce their subject payments. That was probably foolish because that's increased the liberty desire of the Netherlands, who are still significantly increasing in liberty desire, mostly because they're getting support and dependence from Great Britain. So that was dumb. I should have done that differently, but them's the breaks. If they wage a war on me, I'll beat them. Why is the Grunderzeit happening to me right now? Why need I concern myself with this? I don't like this. I don't know why the Grunderzeit is. I don't know why I'm experiencing a Grunderzeit right now. This event chain, I genuinely do not know how it's meant to be won. What's this? A Greek uprising against Turkey. Well, this sounds like a job for the 3rd Iberian Global Defense Force. Delicious water. Gold depleted in Zambezia. Support fewer gold fields, yes, but more gold mines. At least theoretically. Modern battlefleet tactics. Wonderful. Curious. Alright, I believe that is the entire military tech tree complete. Yes, indeed. So, what else have we got? In production, we've just got a few tier 5s, and then in society, the same is essentially the case. Nothing I'm really excited about here. So we'll just do dole rollers, flash freezing, well turbine, and arc welding, and that will take us through to the end of the game. I so desire to make a protectorate of Belgium. My nerds, you know I wish it. I wish it so very badly. Scandinavians will try to fight us, the United States will try to fight us, Japan will try to fight us. I'm not concerned about any of it. Brazil refused to universal suffrage. Well, heckin' do something better then. Golly, you still doing slavery down there? They still technically are. Hey, we hit 1 billion GDP. Excellent. I felt it was almost inevitable given the structure of the country, but I'm glad we made it. I'm glad we made it there. Insufficient construction. Oh, and we got a market access problem in a lot of areas. So tell you what. Uh-oh. It's just the buildings. It's just the buildings. We'll use the filters. I'm going to use the filters. Everybody, relax. I'm going to use the filters. Get our naval bases and modern battlefleet tactics. Always do electric where possible. Steel passenger carriages everywhere, please. When I hit the button that slows the game down, don't worry, it's just malingering. It's not gonna crash. You're not gonna crash. You better not crash. You better not crash. You better not crash. Gritty approaching the camera faster and faster, going, you better not crash. You better not crash. You better not crash. You better not crash. All right. So here's what we're gonna do. I'm just gonna build 5 levels of railways anywhere I got a shortage, and then after that, we're gonna build 5 levels of railways anywhere we don't have a shortage, and that's going to be close enough for government work, I dare say. Alright, back to the main view. It's going to cost us a pile of money, but, you know, I can afford it. My economy's huge. Are you going to get to 21? That's crazy. Could probably get even higher if I went to graduated taxation. Would anyone object to this? Not really. I mean, obviously the petite bourgeoisie, the industrialists, and the landowners would be unhappy about it, but how would it affect my finances is the real question. It would increase tax revenue. And my construction pool, my investment pool is just stupid large. I'm going to wait on it for now. Instead, I'm going to increase the size of my construction sectors. Oh, we're maxed out in Spain. Interesting. All right. Well, let's start building construction sectors elsewhere. It's a very scientific and reasonable approach to this, and definitely not just me clicking until I clicking 2 in a bunch of places until I have decided that's enough. Alright, that should be fine. What does that put us at? That's basically a 10% increase. That's fine. I'm directly holding a bunch of territory in southeastern Africa, which I don't love. Alright, so once again the economy is thriving. Again, this is not something I can reasonably impact. They just want faster growth than I think I can really reasonably sustain. I could seize Oldenburg, could I not? I probably got a truce with their overlord. Trade unions petition government for old age pensions. Interesting. Teresa Claremont, a charismatic leader of the trade unions, has approached the government with a plan to enact old age pensions. A successful enactment is certain to contribute to her to her reputation as an effective politician. A word, please. The minister, halfway out the door, stood startled at the sound. A woman stood in the hallway, bearing a leather-bound dossier. Claremont, he knew. Her appearance was unmistakable. Yes, of course, he said. Should I? Claremont gave a nod and handed over the folder. At least 100 pages, judging by the weight. I'm looking to raise the first draft tomorrow, she said. I would be honored to have your support. We'll see what we can do. As old age pensions. Offer them graduated taxation as a compromise. Or they must understand the present situation does not allow for this. -5 legitimacy. Trade unions unhappy. So, let's take a quick look. We're currently at wage subsidies. Wage subsidies provides 20% welfare payments, 6% food security, and 20% welfare payments, 2% food security, and 10% building wage target per level. If we go to old age pensions, that's 30% welfare payments, 3% food security, minus 1% workforce ratio, 20% dependence income, 2% dependent enfranchisement, and 45% building wage target per level. And then we're also getting some... No, we're not getting building wage target from workers' protections. Only from this. Okay, you know what? Let's do it. We'll see what we can do. And, yeah, we'll get started on it. I don't think anyone's going to really be against this. And then we got international telephone exchange. It's been suggested that by establishing a cross-border telephone exchange with the Iberian Congo, we can improve relations more easily. It certainly cuts down on misunderstandings, so we can just pick up the telephone and work out what's going on across the border. Sounds like a great idea. Improves relations, or I don't think so. I'll improve relations with my subject state. That's fine with me. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. A Ching-splosion. Wow, this is really late in the game for a Ching-splosion. Alright, so what is going on over here? There's a Beiyang modernist revolt. This would give me an excuse to shoot at the Russians. Japanese are not going to step in. Russians are probably going to stand with the government. Which is just Beiyang. And the modernist revolt is all this. I don't think Beiyang can win this, friends. I think the only... Yeah, only with Prussian help. But you know what? I think modernism in China is cool and good. So I am going to support them. And we'll send the first Iberian Megaforce. And it looks like I've got a little bit of a shortage of authority, so we'll cut our consumption tax on coffee for the moment. Do I need anyone else here? Maybe I'll mobilize the Home Guard just for the sake of safety. I can certainly afford a prolonged mobilization under these circumstances because, you know, I don't think I'm not afraid of the Russians. However, simply to make this easier, perhaps I will invade using the first Iberian army around their capital way. There's the Greek uprising. Spread thin. The limited political resources of the armed forces have made the group's leadership question its membership in both the Anti-Bengali Association and the Iberian Confederate Society. And for office supplies, on average, the auditor turned the page to the relevant entry and ran his eyes down the column, 300 crowns per month. For the man who stood across from him, the world was beginning to spin. You're certain? And 1,200 for work-related travel expenses. Excuse me, he managed. Can I have a copy of the manifest? To meet with my colleagues at once. There's no reason to remain in the Anti-Bengali Association. They leave that. Membership in the Iberian Confederate Society is no longer useful. They leave that. Or abandoning either would be unwise. The armed forces become weaker. I'm going to do the first one. I think they can leave. I don't feel a need to have an Anti-Bengali Association. In fact, Bengal relations are good. We've got a defensive pact. Yeah, no reason at all to have an Anti-Bengali Association. Looks like the Russians and the Scandinavians are going to be shooting at each other soon. Scandinavia is going for a bunch of transfer war goals. And we're producing precision tools, which I'm very pleased about. Prussia sides with Russia, but in the Scandinavia thing. United Belgian States sides with Scandinavia in the Scandinavia thing. Okay, alright. I gotta pause. There's too much going on. Confederate States of America sides with Russia. Alright. So this business here. Okay, so the Scandinavians have the Belgians on their side. The Russians have the Confederates, the Prussians, who are now a major, and an assortment of Prussian subjects. So, that's wild. Devil's Railroad event. Ooh, we have some options. So, workers on the railway in Senegal are dying in droves due to the harsh malarial conditions and the extreme demands placed upon them. Every mile is marked with gravestones, every track laid in blood. Malady and the scorching heat blister our bodies, we pave the road to hell with our lives. Full steam ahead, increased mortality of laborers involved in construction. Is this too high a price to pay, minus 50% state construction efficiency? Or tighten safety standards, 2% increased mortality, minus 10% state construction efficiency. I'm going to go with that third one. That's a quarter of each of the other modifiers, and that's fine. Alright. And the United States sides of Scandinavia, making this Russia business now an intra-American... Wait. Did the Russians not step into this thing? I could have sworn I had the Russians on this side. Well, that is curious. What a curious situation. Well, see, now I feel like I've got to get involved over here. Let's see what I can get. So the Russians would like. They're willing to give me war goals. They're willing to give me nothing I care about. Meanwhile, the Scandinavians are willing to give me war goals. They're willing to give me slightly more. Forced nationalization. That's not really that useful to me. Transfer subject. I could steal. There are a lot of places I could steal. Okay, so this infamy amount is still... No, it's not bugged. Alright. I could steal Finland, but Finland is very small. It would be nice to get Bulgaria. Bulgaria? Can I get Bulgaria? I suppose I can't. I could get Alaska. That would be funny. Okay. So this is not going to help me, but... perhaps conquer... War goal... Snag some territory in Oman. But that doesn't feel useful to me. I'm not going to steal some territory in Florida, but be you rest assured, I would like to. Regime change war goals would be... not really useful. Can I transfer Madagascar? I can't. I wonder what's going on with that. Maybe I don't have the necessary interests declared. Well, this feels very silly. I feel like I've been very silly. I don't have any way of getting to Beiyang, but Beiyang also doesn't have any way of getting to the Beiyang Modernist Revolt, so I'm not rightly sure how this war is going to play out. I'm going to lose. I'm going to lose because I can't... Hold on. I can't violate the sovereignty of the Hunan clique. What about the Anhui clique? Okay, I can't... Must have a land theater adjacent to both war leaders. But I'm curious. What if I simply make a war to conquer Hunan? 8.5 infamy, it's not bad. What if I turn them into protectorate? 7.5 infamy. Next country, 18.7. This is extremely silly, but It might be the best way to do it. Would anyone step in to stop me? Not really. But no, because I'm not actually... The Beiyang Modernist Revolt... This is very sad, because the Beiyang Modernist Revolt is... Like, it would be really good for China if the Beiyang Modernist Revolt actually won. But unfortunately, the Beiyang government has war support protection on account of there's countries between... Beiyang Modernist Revolt, can you violate someone else's sovereignty, please, so that we can get in there? This is quite unusual, because they're holding the entire coast. What a curious China situation. Wait, I might have a solution to this. We'll grab the first global defense force, and we'll invade Formosa using the second fleet. It's going to be a while before they get there, but hopefully that will give us some kind of occupation necessary for the Modernist Revolt not to be able to lose the war. All right, there's the Greek succession sorted out. We'll move this force back to... Okay, I think we can safely demobilize the First Iberian Army. This whole thing turned out to be a bit of a kerfuffle. Old age pensions isn't voting. Should have at least taken a look at that. Yeah, 45% success chance, 3% stall chance. I'm not worried. We might even ace it. I think we got a full success last time. Right, so by the time August hits, I can close down. I can demobilize the mega force. Joseon is out of the war. That's unfortunate, because I would love to have conquered Joseon. But, puppeted Joseon, but them's the breaks. Can't necessarily do that. Can't simply conquer countries whenever you wish. Sadly, tragically. Unlike in the olden days, when Europe still believed in fun, then we could simply take over countries whenever we wanted. Because the infamy was bugged. It is sad that I'm not involving myself in this Scandinavia-Russia situation, but I think it's really a foregone conclusion that the Russians are going to win if I don't step in. And I don't really have any love for the Scandinavians either. So it's not really... It's kind of a 6 of one, half dozen of the other situation. Liberal revolt in Mysore, not my business, but interesting. And how is... Alright, we're almost ready for this naval invasion. Almost got a fleet there. I should build more aircraft carriers. Aircraft carriers are fun. And there's old age pensions. Alright. Beautiful. So, that completes the government petition. That's going to set wages a little higher. They force us some attrition. That's fine. So, let's take a quick look at our naval invasion here. I think this is basically good. Alright, we're progressing towards a battle at this point. Formosa is currently Taiwan, where the successors to the nationalist government of the Chinese Civil War are still ruling. Despite the fact that the People's Republic of China has been pursuing an aggressive foreign policy towards the area. They do feel they would like to conquer the territory. They haven't physically invaded the area yet, but it's something that there have been mouth movements about doing for a long time. Where am I in the oh my gosh, I'm in the top 10 for standard of living. That's bananas. I'm only below Nova Scotia, New Grenada, Cuba, Oldenburg, Romania, and Hanover. So that's pretty cool. I'm the highest of the great powers by, I'm hoping, a country mile. Obviously, the French are doing pretty well. As we saw them, they're at 19.6. British 18.2. The Prussians... Oh, the Prussians are buggered. The Prussians are down extremely bad. That's what happens when you lose the Rhineland. Austrians are at 13.6. Scandinavians 17.4. Low population, so that seems reasonable. Turks are at 14.4. That's pretty alright. Hell yeah. Grindrod site is still progressing, and Formosa is occupied. So, this, unfortunately, unfortunately, China is still not, the modernist revolt side is still not able to progress towards winning because they would need to violate someone's sovereignty in order to do this, and they're not going to do that. And I don't want the infamy. This ain't Hearts of Iron 4. You can't simply trundle all over whomsoever you wish. I'm going to demobilize the Megaforce. And yeah, that means we can sustainably do what we're doing. Let's take a quick look at the market once again and see what else we need. I don't need to be filtered to military goods. Wow, demand for art is crazy high. Crazy high. In fact, we need more cars, we need more engines. Golly gee willikers, we need a ton more engines. Let's expand our motor industries by like 25% or something like that. Some crazy amount of expansion. I could do diesel engines. That would allow me to get there, but have I got the necessary oil? Okay, if I did it, how much oil would it take, realistically? 50 per level. We got about 600 levels. So that's like 30,000 oil. Oil is pretty affordable right now. Where is it? Dang, is it really, really affordable? No. I simply missed it. Where's my oil? Show me the oil. I can do it. I can do it. I'm doing it. We're making diesel engines. Heck yes. Kindly burn this letter. Antonio Maura, a prominent leader of the Conservative Party, has been accused of gross corruption. He strenuously denied all allegations until damning letters surfaced signed by him. Yes, I am willing to discuss the contents of these letters with the committee, if only I am given time to study the content of the letters in my personal chambers first. Of course, on my honor, I will not alter or destroy any of the evidence. Honest. They should stand by Maura and deny everything. 20% reduced momentum for the Conservatives, or Maura should be isolated to protect the rest of the party, and he loses a bunch of popularity. Let's, we'll do the first one. They're going to lose a bunch of momentum. That keeps things basically where they are politically. The progressives are still around. The Catholics are no longer a factor in our politics. Motor industries are still productive. Let's take a look at the price of oil. It's quite high now. However, we can deal with that. No, lost a general. Gonna need to deal with that, too. How do I deal with that? Which army were they in? They were in the 2nd Iberian Army. So, you're gonna need a new leader. Let's see, here's an intelligentsia guy. You're a humanitarian. Oh, nice. That's cool. You're a defensive strategist as well. You can have some promotions. Alright, so from here, let's build up oil capacity, nerds. I know there are places we can build them. Basra still has capacity. Fars has capacity. Hormuz has capacity. Cyrenaica, a little bit of capacity. Ooh, we actually got some oil capacity in North Africa and East Africa. Nice. A little bit in Cote d'Ivoire as well, and some in Inner Mauritania. Wonderful. And a little bit in Ethiopia. And that should be fine. One more level in New South Wales will be just enough for me. Alright, aggressive campaigning. Rafael Serrano, following an address where he condemned the Communist Party, has begun to mobilize dedicated partisans to oppose in the election. An unprincipled morass, best served not in the National Assembly but in prison, devoid of a positive achievement, a collective self-parody, an embarrassment to the Iberian nation. Down with the Communist Party. There's certainly a better alternative, extra momentum for the Conservatives, reduce momentum for the Communists, or a pack of miscreants indeed, simply reduce momentum for the Communists. I'm going to go with the second one. I can avoid handing more momentum to the Conservatives, I will, because that's going to increase their electoral prospects, and I don't want that. The Communists are still basically ahead on momentum, so they're going to capture, projected to capture a majority of the electorate here. So I'm gonna keep things that way to the extent that I can. All right, so that's going to solve our oil issue. How does that deal with the engines situation? All right, and now engines are extremely affordable in the country, which is very, very good. I'm pretty pleased about that overall. So let's look at what else we've got. I can definitely produce additional steel. But all the way at the top here, we need more art, we need more groceries, we need more cars. I'm going to add 30 levels to Unthreaded Waterway Minho to the automotive industry there. That is simply going to really give me a boost to car production. Socialist internationalism. The Communist Party is receiving election campaign support from the anarchist trade unions in Scandinavia. So comrades, come rally. In the last fight, let us face. The Internationale unites the human race. Scandinavian socialists are certainly welcome here. Extra momentum for the communists. The anarchist ideology will be more likely to appear in our country. Or try to limit foreign influence in the election, just a little bit of momentum. I'm going to go with the first one. I'm happy to have more anarchists around. Diplomatic play popping off in Rhine. How is the Netherlands doing? They are high in liberty desire, but the increase in liberty desire is going down as our relations improve. We're still spending quite a bit of cash. Oh, that's on construction. Alright, so I'm not worried about that. Chilean talent. This is that thing where we can ask to get a general over on our side. I never do this. I don't think it's... Ooh, but he's a trade unions fellow. It would increase the power of our trade unions, just what our military needs. Partisan papers. The party-affiliated newspapers will be proliferating during this election season. Publications associated with the Progressive Party have been particularly effective in spreading the party line. Read all about it. Honest politicians attacked by shameless cowards. Leading candidate for office issues heartwarming appeal to the common man's heart. Man on campaign trail pets a puppy. Read all about it. The Progressive Party has used the papers brilliantly. Extra momentum for them. Where newspaper circulation is through the roof, this is a boon for publishers. Extra paper mills throughput. I'm going to throw some momentum by way of the Progressives. I think that's fine. It's going to drop momentum for the communists by a little bit, but it's also going to cost the conservatives some. So I'm not too concerned about it. Now, from here, Romanian uprising in Austria. That shouldn't become a problem for me. Alright, so the Beiyang modernist revolt is starting to very slowly increase in, or decrease in war support. Um, you know, again, it sure would be cool if they can realign their war goals, but hey, I'm not, they're adults, they'll do as they like. Let's bring the fleet back to Iberia. So, right, I was going to increase the size of my arts academies, which I've increased the size of in previous times, but it seems that they're still largely, well, they're not really as profitable. Extremadura, these ones are profitable. So we'll throw some levels in there. Maybe we'll throw in a few more even. People will move there to make movies, you know. Hopefully that'll cover this this discrepancy here. Radios are quite expensive, and telephones are also reasonably expensive. So I think that's a good cue that I can increase the size of the electrics industry as well. A lot of these buildings are not as profitable, but the ones in Castilla la Vieja are. So we'll go ahead and boost those up. Ooh, actually, the ones in Baja Andalusia are very profitable, so we'll increase those as well. And that's a significant increase, so that should be okay. And then I think I'm actually going to increase the size of the food industry as well, because I feel like that is going to be very effective. So, we got reasonably profitable ones in Baja Andalusia, Entre Duero y Minho. Aragon, they're very productive in Aragon. And then, reasonably so in Extremadura and Murcia. Not so much Valencia, but they'll be more effective if we build them up. And we'll drop some more levels in the other areas as well. So that'll be a significant increase, but hopefully it's a 50% increase. Maybe I'm going too far, but that's okay. Ethiopia refuses to do census suffrage. Well, gosh darn it, Ethiopia, maybe you should do universal suffrage. Also, let's be better friends. Oil and Bolivar, nice. So, beautiful, they're enacting it. Alright. Now, Morocco, are you still... Yeah, they're working on universal suffrage. How are they doing at it? 2 setbacks, but they're in phase 3. So here's hoping it's a success. I will say, these oil wells are taking their sweet time being built, but... I guess they're mostly done at this stage. Let's take a look at where we are oil-wise. Yeah, we're getting down there in oil prices. Nice. Again, it's very good to be selling oil across the world in the late game, but it's better to be selling engines, frankly, which we very much are. We're selling 27k engines. We're the leading exporter of engines in the entire world, which is very cool. Got a lot of bureaucracy left over. Oh, a Venezuelan capitalist revolt. How exciting! This army needs a new leader. Okay, hold on. One of these is a global defense force. This one. You can go to Venezuela. You. Not you. Let's see. Just go with this industrialist market liberal for now. And we got a trade unions guy to balance. Perfect. By balancing, we need to give it an unreasonable number of promotions to in order to increase the power of the trade unions. I'm not politicizing the army. The army's already political. It's very silly, but you know that's how you do it in Victoria 3. So it looks like the Grindard site has been adjusted somewhat, because we are the economic growth is ongoing. It's not going to be too long before we're not going to need to worry about this. Basically, if we don't hit growth targets for 4 quarters in a row, it's a hairball. But they seem to be going okay, so I'm not too worried. However, I do want to take over the United Belgian States, so I'm going to do that. It's going to be 19.8 infamy. Who's going to try to stop me here? United States might. Beiyang Modernist Revolt can't. Japan might. Scandinavia. French Republic. Interesting. I didn't know I would be in a position to fight the French again. But that's okay. We'll do it. Oh, the thing didn't sound, but that's because I'm already in other wars. So we'll get all the lads together. They withdrew from the treaty, but that's okay. So I'm going to conquer French Guiana if the French decide to step in, which they probably will because they do love doing that. And we'll just put the Megaforce in the French border and plow our way through to Paris like we always do. And we'll see what Rhineland does. If Rhineland decides to step in, then we'll make them a puppet. And that will be fun. Now, this has probably damaged our relations with the Netherlands to a certain extent. No, not that much. Not that much. Alright, cool. Coup in the 2 Sicilies. Putting the armed forces into power. Interesting. Scandinavia sides with them, but does this do anything for me? French Republic sides with them. Very well. We'll just put the Megaforce on the front here. Oh, and let's put a global defense force going by a very circuitous land route through Austria to the Northern European front. Empire of Japan sides with the United Belgian States. That's not my business. I don't need to worry about that. Japan is a great power at this stage. So before I forget, let's add a war goal to return. Oh, I can steal West Micronesia from them. That's an interesting idea. But what I really wish is to conquer French Guiana. And I could sway the Austrians in here if I wished, but I don't necessarily wish to. Anything else fun I could get up to? Transfer a subject. There aren't many good options. I'll leave it. I don't necessarily need the infamy right now. Undefended front in Para. Okay. Well, we'll go ahead and send the 3rd Global Defense Force then. That's going to make things easier over there, and that'll be fine. That'll be nice. And then once we've got a hold of Guyana, we'll figure out exactly what that means in terms of the how we're going to manage the territory, because there's going to be a significant French population. I don't know how many of the people living there are going to be native Guyanans, but there's the Venezuelan positivist revolt popping off. This should sort itself out within a reasonable time frame without us getting involved. Obviously, we're spending huge piles of cash, as we have always been. Our gold reserves don't really seem to be going down in this run much, but no complaints here. We've kind of reached a point where we can kind of sustain endless wars, where we've got a very efficient armed force with all of our planes and tanks and whatnot, so we can basically fight as long as we wish to. We've hit 22 standard of living, which I'm feeling extremely pleased about. Let's put us at number 6. Although obviously numbers 1 through 5 contain a lot of people, a lot of countries from our power block, which is quite a large one. Oh, you know what? There's a front over here. Ooh, I should snag Eastern New Guinea. That's what I should do. I should grab a little Eastern New Guinea as a treat. As a treat. I should snag French Eastern New Guinea. That's what I'll do. .2 infamy, I can live with that. I know I'm kind of buggering myself in terms of what I said my goals were, but, you know, we're getting on towards the end of the run. I'm really not in a place where I want to be taking runs past 1936 at this stage. There was a time and a place for it, and it was fun when I was doing it, but, you know. Ooh! Automated dough rollers unlocked. Excellent. This is huge. This is huge. Automated bakery away. Stop it. They're just pretending they're not productive. They're so happy. They're so happy. Look, they're the happier than they've ever been. Oh boy. I don't know why somebody... Oh, that's even worse. I don't know why so many of these want to be disautomated. I really don't. Okay, you don't, though. Same for you. They just want to be on a lower alcohol method. I know they do. Yeah, okay, here we go. Alright, so that's made them much more productive. Now, Tunisia, are you still... Yes, now you'll be happier with automation. Alright, beautiful. We've done it. We've done it. And of course, let's take a quick look at liquor. We're still probably way overproducing liquor. Where's my liquor? Maybe we're not way overproducing liquor at this stage. I've actually made liquor kind of expensive. But only kind of. Anyway, that's made the businesses more profitable, so I think we'll just leave it where it is. I didn't think the French were going to be able to stand against us in this situation, but I suppose it's really their loss. Korean aristocratic revolt. Now, this is interesting. Do I not have the ability to get involved in this situation? I suppose I don't. Maybe I need to declare some more interests. I should have the ability to declare interests everywhere else in the world. Yeah, okay. Japan? Quit your griping and grousing, Japan. And the Americans are shooting at each other once again. Oh, nope, no they're not. Not anymore. They've all bailed out. Oh, right. The war has begun. It's time to naval invade Belgium. The Iberian fleet actually has insufficient command capacity. Let's get this brave dockyard organizer into the mix. We'll also take this guy and we'll bring him up to being a mega admiral. And that should give us the necessary command capacity for it. And that'll be just fine. Again, I have no war goals against the Scandinavians. There's nothing they have that I want. Well, actually, we're losing some battles here, which is a bit of a surprise. We won a big battle in Burgundy. Got quite a bit of occupation there. This is a larger battle. What is going on with our I have a command capacity shortage or something? Doesn't seem like it. Supply shortage? No. How am I done losing so bad here? Well, I don't need to worry about it too much. It's only one battle. Although I'm losing another oh, boy. Vicky 3, you get... Alright, hold on. Let's just pause the game. We'll close out all these notifications. Got any more notifications? No. Alright. Kanak Uprising. I should have a global defense force able to deal with that, and I surely do. Exile from Persia. South German mass immigration from Austria to Estremadura. Nice. Alright. And we are winning battles in all of our other areas right now. So hopefully that should mean we're good to go. Now, Flanders is the capital state of Belgium. Yes, it certainly is. Alright, so I should be able to take that territory, no problem. Alright, and that's made force comparisons here really good. 4th Iberian Global Defense Force, why don't you go to the front to which I assigned you. Cusco's front. Why don't you go to the front that I assigned you to, sir? That's very weird. I got armies falling off of fronts in a lot of different areas. That's quite curious and odd. Alright. There's the situation in Venezuela handled. I'm going to send this army that was dealing with that over to the Northern European front once again. Albrecht Ritz. Bulgarian mass immigration, excellent. Well, Ritz. Ritz is what it said. Alright, and now we're in Belgium, so that should be good to go. So that means Belgium is going to surrender relatively soon, hopefully. Because we got healthy occupation of them. 67%. And then we just want to steal Guyana from the French. Delicious water. Okay. That's the Connacht situation dealt with. Alright, and that's closed out our front over here in Northern Europe. On the other hand, these fronts seem to have gotten very silly. I'm going to move some troops over to this other front because I sure would like to close out the Western French front. I've got a hold of all of Belgium at this stage. I am indeed shoving forward here. Dharampur, very cool flag. There we go. That's much better. And again, I think we're once again in a situation where... Actually, I think France doesn't have war support protection at this point either, because I've got a hold of Guyana, but also because I keep conquering the country and doing a bunch of damage to their economy. How long until our next election? Do I have one more election cycle before the end of the game? No, we do not, because the end of 1935 is going to be the end of the game. Great Britain. How could you? How could you? We were such good friends. Oh, I was rivaling you already. Never mind. Bastards. Interesting. Alright, so. As you can see, I've been doing my best to keep everything together on this run, but you know, sometimes things get silly, and that's simply all there is to do, is to surrender to the silliness. For example, sometimes you have a mega force, and the force is mega, and you have to deal with it. Central Java front, South Sumatra front. A curious situation. This is, a liberal revolt in the East Indies. I will send another global defense force down there to handle the Western Front of that war, and that should sort out the whole situation. As you can see, I'm very focused on France, and I think it should be pretty obvious why. Oh, this force is still over here when they could be somewhere else. You know what? We'll have them go to the French Republican front as well. Legislation imposed on Morocco refused. Well, Morocco, you have got to start getting it together, my guy. I don't know why it's so hard for you to do all the stuff I request of you, Morocco, but I don't know, man. Have a revolution. I'll shoot at your enemies. Do it. Has begun the process which you imposed on them. So I think the Grundert site is actually here on account of we have a subject that's in a German strategic region. I think that's what's causing this. But with that having been said, I can't be arsed. Like, one of the problems with the whole structure of the event chain is that, like, you need to... A lot of buildings take more than one entire quarter to build. So, like, you achieve your goals in the first quarter, and then you're back to not achieving your goals again, because there's not, like, staggered growth, and it's all very weird. I've tried it at different times and with different situations, and it's just headaches. It's just headaches, my friends. So I'm not worrying about it, and if that causes a problem for Hanover, then so be it. I've got crazy investment pool situations around here, so I'm not too worried about it. High enemy occupation. Why don't I have full enemy occupation? How do I not have Wallonia? Can someone take over Wallonia, please? It seems like the Belgians don't have any... I've got Flanders. That's weird. That's weird. One of these armies should be taking over Wallonia. At this point, we've surrounded Paris, so it shouldn't be too much longer with the French. In fact, the French are rapidly declining in war support. Maybe even faster than the Belgians. Yeah, they're going faster than the Belgians at this stage. There's the liberal revolts in the Dutch East Indies. I don't need to worry about that much more. That should sort itself out pretty fast. Now, if I read this right... Yes. Alright. So there's the situation in France. Now, I have to be careful with this, because I gotta get these forces coming back home so that I don't wind up having a headache and having to goof up my armies again. Alright, so you're all on your way. Alright, so now I should simply be able to go protectorate, and they should be willing to become a protectorate. Alright, yes indeedly do. And now... relations are pretty good. Obviously, I've got high infamy. That's making their liberty desire go up, but it'll be going down soon. Netherlands, I don't know what to tell you, friends. I probably should have been more careful about my infamy. They got countries supporting them now. It's going to be a whole headache. But if I got to shoot at the British, I'll shoot at the British. Maybe I should preemptively shoot at the British. I mean, I'm going to have to shoot at the British at some point. So I mean, it just makes sense, right? I'm going to have to take some shots at the British eventually. So I mean, it makes sense that I would start a giant war with them. No, I don't think I'm going to do so. Hey, there's mass propaganda. Delightful. Extra supports separatism strength now. That's pretty cool. Unlocks Phalangist Party. Don't love that. Or, on the other hand, perhaps, I will simply provoke them into a fight by reducing the autonomy of other countries, and, because I do want all of... Oh my. Actually, quite a few of these countries in Latin America are now going up in liberty desire. That's not ideal. But it'll be going down soon when I'm less infamous. So, if I just chill, things will be well. I've still got them all back into my market and into my empire. So that's really the goal. I've achieved the goal, which I set out for myself at some point. Not at the beginning of the run, but which I eventually decided was my goal. Which is to get my my empire back. We've got the Devil's Railroad event again, and then Titan safety standards again. Whew. So we made a heck of a global empire this time, friends. We yeah, we did a whole lot. We built a massive market consisting of almost all of Africa, almost all of South America, huge swathes of North America and the Caribbean, as well as getting a hold of quite a bit of Oceania and Indonesia as well. And the Middle East. We got huge swathes of the Middle East. We got almost all of modern Turkey, as well as modern Iraq, and then huge chunks of modern Afghanistan and modern Iran. So we've achieved need more market access here in Fezzan. So we achieved a very large global empire. Hang on, is this liberal revolt still happening? Oh, I suppose it is, but not much longer. Alright, well these global defense forces can come home then. And yeah, we just got another, we just got one more, or no, we got a couple more years in the pot. Maybe I'll call it a little early. I don't know. It feels like we got a good amount of footage. We've been at this for 2.5 hours. I feel like this run has gone a lot slower than previous runs. I have to say, oh, you know what? It's the situation in China. I'm like, I'm gonna need to manually demobilize these fellas because of the situation in China. There we go. Alright. The Russians and the Egyptians are shooting at each other. Now that's interesting. Sure would be cool if Egypt would be willing to become my protectorate, but sadly I don't think they're going to be willing to. I'll try and go all the way to the end. I don't necessarily have more territorial ambitions, and obviously my infamy is super duper high, and I like to keep my infamy low, both for role-playing reasons and because I like to, because I think maintaining a large network of protectorates is very good, in terms of a sort of more realistic way of looking at how we want to pursue global politics. Okay, alright. So there's a lot of Britain and all her many and various subjects. Although I guess she doesn't have quite so many anymore, since I frickin' stole a lot of them. There still are quite a few. Like, is that the Raj? Like, nope, that's Liberia. And this is a Douala uprising in the Iberian Congo. I think, I'll send a force. I'll send a force to deal with that. We'll go ahead and... let me see. 43 additional days. Alright, that's not too long. I think the first and second army are also going to get demobilized pretty soon. So is it realistic? I do so wish to support Egypt in this, but I also don't. I'm going to level with y'all, friends. I'm very tired. It's quite late in the night, and I have not had optimal time for recording. I also am trying to get my units demobilized. It's a little sad. On the other hand, my war cat tendencies are now flaring up. Like, you know, I could take them. I could take Britain and Russia. Okay, let's be realistic. What would this be for? Well, no, because I can't. The thing I would want is to get Guyana and some other holdings in Africa, and that's not going to happen. So. Well, unfortunately, we'll be unable to get involved. Cuba. Oh, you successfully revolted from the British. Well, that's based, but I will conquer you. .2 infantry to annex them. Alright, well, I would annex them if I felt I could tolerate the infamy, but I can't, so. I'll leave it be. Coup in New Grenada? How dare. Kind of oh! Man. The scramble for Africa almost never ends. That is curious. So, our colonial efforts in Africa have borne fruit, claiming a sizable portion of the continent for our own designs. Some may yet dispute the exact reach of our colonial empire, but none can dispute its presence. To those who want to argue over borders, I say what I've always said. History, now as before, is written by the cartographers. This is only the beginning of the Iberian Empire. 100 extra prestige indefinitely. Very nice. Good way to finish out the run. Alright. So at this point, we'll demobilize the second Iberian army. Do I want to also demobilize the first? Ah, it's fine. I'll demobilize the first Iberian army. That's fine. Well, the global defense forces and the home guards, those are standing forces. So it's no surprise that they stay mobilized. How's our market doing? How's the market? We need more rubber, friends. Friends, rubber is needed. And I know just where to get it. Here we go. Or do I? There are a lot of places in just kind of all over Central America where we can make rubber happen. Alright. Obviously we can build up Guyana, Mato Grosso. Alright, that should be fine. New Grenada refused to ban slavery. Gosh dang it, New Grenada. Why? How can you do this to me? Not how can you do this to me, how can you do this to your own people? Gosh dang. Well, maybe you should do... Maybe you should do universal suffrage. You ever think of that? They're working on it. Nice. How's Cuba doing? Cuba's good. Puerto Rico is doing good. Oh, you know what? I was going to change the language of the administration of the Dutch East Indies. Or the Iberian East Indies. Oh no, I've already got them. Cool. What about Australia? Australia's their own country. Oh my god! Oh, that's right. They're doing a big ol' theocracy. I love that. That's the logo for them. They got the Pope hat on here. I forget the name of it. I forget the hat has a very particular name. I think a generic name for a priest's hat is like a mitre or something, but I forget. I know the Pope's crown has a very particular. It might be one of those. It might be a big faux pas to call it a crown, to be completely honest. But I know it's got a particular name to it. I admit I've caused myself Northern European headaches with these new puppets, but I just have to make puppets out of small countries in Europe. I can't simply let them be. That would be silly. I want to get Rhineland as well. I've already got Hanover, but I wish to get Rhineland. But obviously that'll take one of these two being made into a puppet rather than a protectorate, and that's probably going to be outside the scope of the run, just given the timeline as we've got it. Oh, this is a nationalist revolt here. That's cute. Alright. Dual succession, crushed. Is this? This is a communist revolt against Cuba. Is anyone else at all interested in this? Okay, if I step in, the Americans will probably step in, so I'm going to leave that. I'm going to leave it be for now. We'll be chill. We'll just be chill. Hopefully, for the rest of the run, we'll be chill. And everything will be relaxing. Wow, these places sure do have ginormous construction efficiency penalties, I must say. I'm still building some stuff in null_state. I can't seem to remove these Kirby's from my construction queue. They were gone for a little bit, but they keep popping back up, I feel like. I feel like they're not showing up at the front of the construction queue here, but they're sneaky like that. Para, you seem to be having a major problem. It's turmoil. That's what it is. It's turmoil. Oh, jeepers. I should have gotten vassalization. Then I could do a decree here to make this easier. But, you know. Okay, actually, here's a question. Are these going to get finished before the end of the run? 76 weeks. They might be, but only just barely. I'm gonna just barely be there. So that's fine. That's fine. I'm experiencing crazy population growth and crazy loyalization at this stage, which I'm feeling pretty pleased about, I will say. Iberian economy experiences crazy growth. I could go to no migration controls. Oh, nobody wants no migration controls. Wait, who's the 16%? The industrialists. There's flash freezing. Nah, putting them in the government's not going to work. Oh, interesting. Petite bourgeoisie are going to form a radical party because they're feeling radical. That's Excite Bike. if I put Cuevas in charge, that would be very different. But I'm liking the current pattern of things. Obviously, everyone in the there are very few parts of the country willing to stand alongside the communists, except for obviously the communists themselves, who are primarily the trade unions. But you know, I think they've been doing pretty well for the country overall. So I'm disinclined to try to mess with that. Even shipyard combines losing prosperity. Yeah, I find it really hard to keep shipyards functioning. And you know what? I need to be resetting production methods more conscientiously, which I have not been doing. Can't give away states right now, sadly. Kanak. Oh. I want to make them protectorates so bad, but I gotta keep an eye on this infamy. So part of the reason I did that is so that I can have a better visual to the way my economy is currently running, and because I was going to look at the shipyards. Okay, some of these are very unproductive. Okay, at this point I'm going to make an executive decision that all my military shipyards need to be producing steel-hulled ships. I think it's ridiculous that our country is still using man-o-wars. I don't need them. I don't need them at all. It's not useful. The glassworks are more productive with automatic bottle blowing, generally speaking, it seems like. Yeah, they certainly are. Alright, so this was the right call. And the private sector will electrify any areas that need to be electrified. I need to build up more construction capacity. That's what I need to do. I will say I've gotten very tired. Oh boy. As the game tries to keep the visuals updated here. Chad gets extra production. Why? Don't ask me. It's not coherent foreign policy. Oh! An Iberian supremacist movement. I hope that would not happen. I don't like it. Hell? That one must be somewhere else. Right, you get one extra. Alright. Let's do a promotion. I've seen this event already. This is Sebastian Cebrian. He's a wrathful liberal. He can get promoted again. He's earned it. A favored party, two Sicilies owing us an obligation, could be used to pressure them to include the trade unions in their government. So let's take a quick look at their politics. The trade unions are pretty strong. Far be it from me to tell the fine chancellor how to run his country. Teresa Claremont said, waving her hand. I simply want to mention that Pier Francisco Imbriani is a very reasonable man who deserves to be heard. They just need a small push in the right direction. If they say yes, they form a government of the trade unions. If not, it deteriorates relations, or we should stay out of their internal politics. I'm going to do the first one. We'll see if it works. So, if by the 12th they haven't put the trade unions in their government, we'll know that it didn't work. Hey, they did it. Nice. Very nice. And relations remain amicable. Slight stutter in standard of living. Not perfect, but fine. The despot of Oriol opposed the arbitrary and illiberal rule of the Tsar of Russia, the Catholic Church, have fallen in with the Anti-Russian Association. To all those who cherish liberty, Russia, under the boot of that pernicious Tsar, stands out as an example of the very worst excesses of despotism. In no country is the indomitable right of every soul to strive towards its own destiny obstructed, as it is in Russia, and in no country is a greater threat found to our own liberty than in Russia. Russia must fall, for if she does not, we will fall in her place. Down with tyrants, down with Russia. Catholic Church joins the Anti-Russian Association, or sometimes a firm hand is needed to govern well. Catholic Church becomes unhappy. I'm going to do the second one. The Catholics are not very strong in our... Oh my gosh, the Scandinavians won. They won their war. Okay, so curious. So that's why it said Oriol. So where's Oriol? Am I going to need to use the finder? I might need to use the finder. I'm going to use the finder. It's rare. Oriol. Oriol is the capital of Tula. Interesting. So, we've built ourselves an extremely large economy. Let's do a little visual tour of the country. Now that it's daytime, we've developed huge cities. Yeah, look at all those fireworks. We developed some very impressive physical geography and architecture as well. As you can see, our state capitals are just enormous, with our huge monuments and whatnot. Some really extreme buildup of urbanization in a lot of different areas here. Oh, you know what? We're in the... Hold on. Where's the default view? States? Yeah, there we go. All right, here we go. Now we got some lovely place names here. So this is Madrid, our capital. Recognize the names of a lot of these places: Valladolid, Leon. Not as many as I would have thought. Bilbao, that's one I recognize from Hearts of Iron 4. Pamplona, same here. Zaragoza. Obviously, Barcelona, we've developed a massive cathedral here, as well as a huge booming economy. As we move down the eastern coast of Iberia, we have Valencia, obviously, and Gandia, which is... I guess these are big shipyard buildings or something like that. Obviously, this is a wharf, but I don't recognize this this building type. I'm genuinely unsure as to what that is. Maybe those are barracks, something like that. As we get further, we have Alicante, and I didn't realize Murcia was the capital of Murcia was just named Murcia, but obviously this is huge territory here. These must be barracks. They must be barracks. Did our view change again? Yes, it did. States. Give me states. Here's Grenada. Yeah, no, it is Murcia. That's curious. Granada is... There's Granada in Spain, as you know. You might have heard of Granada. I believe there's a Granada in Mexico as well, but which is what I assume when you say Granada to me, but this one in Spain as well. Cordoba is not nearly the size as I would have thought it is, although it looks like this area is primarily rural. Cordoba is not the capital of Baja Andalusia. That honor goes to Sevilla. And obviously we've got a hold of Gibraltar, which is a part of Spain that in our timeline is being held by Great Britain, I believe. We have Badajoz here. And obviously there's Portuguese Iberia, the Iberia that was once Portugal. Our big cities here are Évora, Lisboa, Setúbal, and Coimbra, and Porto, which is not the primary one. The primary one here is Braga, which is interesting. So yeah, so we've built an enormously urbanized empire. We've taken over a huge swathe of the globe. Clear that locked map mode now. And yeah, we've built a massive economy. We've built a huge population. And we've built an even huger population in our market, which is just an absurdly large market, producing trillions in goods, clearly. Maybe that's an exaggeration, but billions. This is an extremely large market with a lot of countries in it, right? We've got Tilia with its GDP of about 110 million. Starting at Piedmont, 70 million. To Sicily is 100 million. Crossing over the sea, we've got Mexico, about 125 million. Venezuela, 40 million. Amazonia, 10 million. Peru, Bolivia, 63 million. Argentina, 30 million. Para, 2.5 million. Confederation de Ecuador, 22 million. Brazil, 50 million. Bahia, 5 million. Mato Grosso, 5 million. We go to Africa, our African territories, Iberian Congo, closing in on 50 billion. 16 billion in Iberian South Africa. 73 billion in Iberian East Africa. 50 billion in Morocco. Another 177... Or, sorry, not billion. All these should be million. Oh, man. I'm brain bad, friends. Brain bad. 175 million in Turkey. 40 million in Persia. Not too shabby over there. The Iberian East Indies, 75 million. So, all told, and of course, Australia, 72 million, and Canada, 155 million. So, like, all these countries together, you know, I would call it probably a nice solid couple of billion in GDP, all told. Obviously not the biggest... Oh my. What's this? A proletarian revolt. I wish so strongly to get involved in this. But I will not. It's not going to be done before the end of the run in any case, because we're right at the middle of the final... We're right in the middle of the final year of the run. So what other accomplishments? We busted up the British Empire. We took position number 1. Let me see if I can get this to hold here. Let's try country relations. No. You know what? None of this is about me. I'm gonna... yeah, we busted up the British Empire. They remained at the number 1 position. But we're well ahead of them at this point, with closing in on 20,000 prestige, with them at 4,000. Leading powers this time, Great Britain, that's predictable. United States, that's predictable. France, that's predictable. Although, France is currently divided in half after we got up to a bunch of chicanery there. So that's a bit of a surprise. Also surprising to see Austria above Russia at this stage, but, you know, that's what happens when Austria aligns herself with the right people, which is us. Confederate States still kicking around. That's a kind of a curious state of affairs in 1935, but not entirely unknown in Victoria 3. Two Pockets event. It's the animist rights movement. I'm just gonna say everything dies in the end, some faster than others. Russia basically still intact, but we did finally get a late game Qing explosion of a kind, although it looks like the Beian government is going to hold most of the coast at this stage. We have one more election, which will not finish before the end of the game. Oh, curious. The Radical Party, the Petite Bourgeoisie, is actually poised to maybe win the election, which would be curious. So, you know, perhaps we're heading into a turbulent time. Or at least a time of change here in Iberia, the greatest nation on Earth. At present. Oh my goodness, what is happening here? Capitals revolt in Puerto Rico. Well, I guess we'll put some fellas in charge. Oh my. What happened to our bureaucracy? Did I just goober my bureaucracy at some point here? Wow. I really did. I stopped paying attention for a second, and now I'm totally goobered on taxation capacity. This is so very silly. But it is what it is. There's only one thing to do, and that's build up the necessary capacity. It should be a modest investment at this stage. We're very efficient at taxation. If I can find the button. Alright, let's see if that gets me the necessary administrative capacity, and if it doesn't, then we'll regroup. The rent in this economy event, one of my favorites. Say anything to make the rent more bearable. Alright. That hasn't quite done us, although we are at... Oh, I didn't do Catalonia. Oh, now I feel silly. Alright, Islas Baleares. And Catalonia, I'm just going to throw 10 levels of... We'll do 14 and put them up to a nice even 30. And that'll be fine. That should be plenty of government for Catalonia. I know they don't love government over there. Catalonia is one of the strongholds of the anarchist movement during the 1930s, during the 1936 to 39 Civil War against Franco. Franco, a right bastard. Intelligently decided not to participate in World War II, and as a result stayed in power until I want to say the 70s. Basically one of the most successful, in terms of long-term stability, fascist states, of the fascist states that arose during the early totalitarian period in the 1930s. Quite successful, all told. Particularly compared with his contemporaries, who, of course, you know, basically immediately decided to fight a war against the entire rest of the world until they goobered themselves. Let me see. This is Iberian Senegal. We need to send a global defense force to deal with that. I guess technically we don't need to, but it would be... Oh! We don't have a front. Well, I guess we're going to need to, send some boats as well. And we're doing good on taxation capacity once again. Wonderful. But yes, I would say, oh boy. Tradition. Yes. conservatives are still very weak, but haven't gotten much involving the radicals, but of course, it's not going to matter because the run is going to be done. And we've pretty much finished out these plantations. I've still got Kirby's in the construction queue, but what else is new? Are these going to finish before the end of the run? They are. Beautiful. We're just going to build up the Guyana rubber plantations before the end of the construction of the run. That's very funny. Just barely going to make it. So yeah, overall, pretty successful run. As we finish out our final week of the game, I will, yeah, I think I'll take us a little bit through the statistics, and we'll just kind of see how things look as the game finishes out here. Once again, we have the Victorian Century achievement. Hey, we got music here, finally. So, political strength, interestingly, a surprising amount held by capitalists at the end of the game. But capitalists and engineers, even though our industrialists are not particularly strong, quite a bit by shopkeepers, but it's kind of the block of machinists and clerks, and to an extent, engineers that helps the trade unions stay strong. Population, of course, hugely biased in favor of machinists. Quite a few laborers still at the end of the game, quite a few clerks. Not shocking there. In terms of population, we had a massively multi-ethnic empire, multiculturalism spanning across huge swaths of the country. Quite a bit of the political power was held by Iberians, but not an overwhelming majority. We have Galicians, Catalan people, Portuguese people, and Spanish people here. We should have the Asturianese right here, and some of our other sort of intra-Iberian ethnic minorities, our Basque people here. I think that's everyone, and the Aragonese as well. All right. Political strength held primarily by the Catholics. I forget what our religious law was by the end. I think we did separation of church and state, but I can't be sure. I don't recall exactly. This balance suggests to me that well, I think there's bias there. But yeah, we achieved a freaking absurd standard of living without going full communist. We had a huge investment pool by the end of the game. That was primarily due to the huge buff we got for revitalizing the economy, which I think the game intended for us to do earlier and have more of a problem with. As it stands, we basically just plowed straight through it and got the bonuses, so that was nice. Realistically, if I'd been thinking about that and had been more conscientious about figuring out when that journal entry unlocks, I could have done it sooner to keep the bonuses longer to get really snowballing at the end of the game. With that having been said, I'm not unhappy that I didn't. I'm not a huge map painter, and that's basically the thing that a huge, unrealistically large economy allows you to do. So yeah, I feel like we ultimately established our goal of forming a large, a kind of a liberal populist social safety net type country without straying all the way into socialism proper. So I'm feeling pretty good about that. And overall, I think it's been a fun run. I hope y'all have enjoyed it. If you made it this far, drop a like, drop a subscribe. You know how it goes. Do the things. Yeah, I think next place we're going is going to be Persia. So I will see you then. But yeah, for now I've had fun. I hope you all have had fun, and I'll see you on the other side.